Hello everybody, Adam Tafoya here from educatedwallet.com. Hope you all are having a great Tuesday. Wanted to come live. I want to make this a regular thing, our Tuesday Q&A. I got to come up with a little bit better name than maybe Tuesday Q&A. But the whole purpose of me doing this and coming live to you is to be available to answer your money questions, right? We all have them. We all need some help. We all want some help in some way or another. We don't know everything, especially when it comes to finances or money. Some people know more than others, obviously. But I want to come to you on a regular basis and provide a Q&A session, an opportunity to answer questions. If you have questions, we'd like you to submit them beforehand. That way I can prepare a little bit better responses and maybe not be so on the cuff, but more than happy to take your questions as you come on live. Excited to have the opportunity to be able to do this. We did have some questions that were submitted, and so I'm just going to jump in right away and start answering some of these questions regarding, and the topic can vary, and I don't ever want anybody to feel like the question is maybe too simple or too complex to be able to submit, right? Myself, we have a team here at Educated Wallet, and we want to be available. We want to be able to help with those questions, and so feel free to submit them on a weekly basis. We're going to do this, and really excited to be able to do it with everybody. So one of the first questions is, should I still be investing in my 401k at work if I know I won't be at the company long term? Or are there better options I should be looking at outside of work? So regarding 401k accounts, 401ks are retirement accounts that you can contribute to at work. I would say if your employer is offering a match, that means you're putting in some money and they put in some money as well. If they're offering a match, it's still, even though maybe you're going to be leaving in 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever, it's still beneficial to be able to take advantage of that match as long as you're there. It's free money. We all want to take advantage of free money. So take advantage of the match. I would also say that the 401k allows higher contributions than any account outside of work. So if you go open up your own IRA, which is the same exact thing as a 401k, works exactly the same way. If you go open up one on your own, pick an investment account, go open one up, that account will only allow you, an individual account will only allow you to contribute $6,000 to $7,000 a year, depending on how much money you make and what your age is. At work, 401k accounts actually allow, this year it's $19,000 contribution if you're under 50. If you're over 50, it's several $1,000s higher than that. And so if you're wanting to put more than, let's say, $6,000 or $7,000 away into a retirement account, you can't do that outside of work because IRAs, Roth IRAs don't allow for high contributions like that. Only 401ks do. So take advantage of the 401k if, number one, you're getting a match. Number two, you are contributing more than an individual IRA would allow you to. How many different types of investments would you say I should try to have established? So this would depend on your personal situation. Hi Diane, how you doing? But I would say have a good balance between pre-tax, which most likely is like your 401k or IRA. You haven't paid any tax on it yet. Have a good balance between that and after-tax accounts. So that means that you're going to have to open up 2 different accounts. And the reason I say that is because we all want tax deductions now, but nobody ever wants to pay tax in the future, right? So if you get a tax deduction now, that means you're putting away money pre-tax and you're going to have to pay tax on it later. And again, anytime I ask somebody, do you want to pay tax on this money later? Everybody says no, right? And so that's where the Roth IRA would come in. You want to be able to have an account where you pay the tax now and you don't have to pay tax later. So have a good balance between the two. That would mean that at a minimum you have 2 accounts that you have opened. Roth IRA, IRA, or your 401k at work. Could mean you have 3. Maybe you have an IRA and a 401k. You can contribute to both. And maybe you do have, or I shouldn't say maybe, I think most everyone should have a Roth. So you have the Roth as well. So 2, 3, possibly 4 accounts, depending on what your objective is. Along those lines of objective, a lot of people don't know like where to start investing or what company or what account to use because they haven't answered the simple question first, right? What is the purpose of this money? If I'm putting away money for a down payment on a house, I'm not going to put it in an IRA, right? Wrong vehicle for it, can't get access to it, I'm going to have to pay an IRS penalty. So a shorter term account would be much better, right? So ask yourself that question, what is the purpose of this money? Is it definitely long term? Is it only for retirement? Or would I want some access to it before? Would I want to be able to get at it? I don't plan on it, but maybe if there's an emergency or something comes up, I want to be able to get at it. Depending on the answer to that question will determine the account you're going to open, right? So answering that question first helps make that decision a lot easier. It eliminates some options and it makes other options much more clear. Is Social Security going to be guaranteed in the future? That's another question that we've had submitted. I've heard rumors that it won't be around. Hard to say, right? The government doesn't even know if it'll be around or to what extent. I tend to think that it'll be around probably in a different form than it is now, maybe not to the same extent that people are receiving it at this point. Hard to know though, because the government, right, they still don't even know. But I would create a plan that doesn't rely on Social Security, right? You want to be able to have confidence. Hard to have confidence if maybe this thing called Social Security is going to be there or maybe it won't. So you want to create a plan that doesn't have to include that, right? You want to create a plan that does not have to rely on that. You'd feel much more confident, right? Imagine how you would feel if your plan didn't have to rely on that. And if it is there, great. That's like extra money, right? It's ice cream money or money you can spend spoiling your grandkids or vacation or whatever. But if you make a plan counting on it, probably going to end up different than what we're seeing right now. Hey Brandon, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Another question that we had was, would you recommend annuities? So annuities are used for specific purposes, right? They're not an end-all be-all or something that is right for everybody. They're used for specific reasons. Those reasons are the guarantees that they offer. Only insurance-based accounts like an annuity can offer certain guarantees, like protecting your money and creating what I call a personal pension, right? So they create and they will give you guaranteed income for life. So if you don't have a pension, again, and we're not counting on Social Security as guaranteed income for life, then an annuity might work very well for you, right? But you want to be able to go through a process of asking yourself several questions, right? How much liquidity will I need? How much access will I need to that money? Do I need guaranteed income for life, right? Most people, that answer is yes. It just depends on where you're going to get that from. So again, annuities are used for those specific reasons. And you might need to utilize, I have a lot of clients that utilize a combination, right, of different types of accounts and maybe an annuity to provide some or all of their income needs. I have a 403B at work. What's the difference between a 403B and a 401k? Absolutely nothing except for that 3B and that 1 and the K, right? They are both almost always pre-tax unless it specifically says 401k Roth, but they're almost always pre-tax. But if they're pre-tax, they are taxed exactly the same. They are IRAs, individual retirement accounts, pre-tax most of the time, and they are all taxed the same. So there are lots of different names for these accounts depending on where you work, government, school, public, private company, 403B, 401k, 457, lots of different, TSA, TSP, they are all exactly the same, right? They have a different name because of the tax code. That number is actually the tax code in the IRS code, but they are all exactly the same. So in terms of planning, Most of the time, in terms of contributions you can make, they're all exactly the same. Is there a way to predict a recession? That would be really nice, right? If there were, there'd be a lot more people who would have made a lot more money, and there'd be a lot more people who would have avoided losing money, right? And so hard to predict or avoid or time a recession or a downward market or even an upward market, right? Again, that's what people try and do every single day. My general advice is that trying to time the market is obviously not very easy, or else everybody would be doing it. But it's not the way that you should really build your plan, and it's not a strategy that you should rely on for building your plan, right? So in terms of trying to predict a recession, you should have a plan in place that you're confident with, whether the market is up or down, that is going to provide for your future needs, and maybe even shorter term or current needs, right? Again, if you're saving for a down payment on a home, you're saving for something shorter term than retirement, right? For some of us, retirement is very close. For some of us, retirement is really far away. For others, it's pretty close. So depending on how short or long term that need is, you'll want to create a plan based on that. And going back to my previous comment, you should create a plan that does offer growth, right? We always want our money to grow, but offers protection as well. I always use Warren Buffett because he obviously somebody to listen to and to follow in terms of investing. He knows a little bit. But he once said that rule number 1 is never lose money, and rule number 2 is never forget rule number 1, right? So a lot of times people trying to predict or time a market, they end up losing money. Warren Buffett would say not to do that, right? So have a plan in place that allows you not to lose money. Protects your money, but it also allows growth. Again, if you're tuning in and you have any money questions, feel free to submit them now. I think I'll be able to see all of your comments. Or submit them and I'll prepare better and then go over them next week. Another question we had was, what's the best thing I can teach my teenager about managing money, right? And this is teenager. I have small kids, right? So we try and implement what I'm going to say now with them as well. But I would say talk to them. Obviously have discussions with them on a regular basis, right? And regular doesn't mean a couple times a year, right? It means several times a week. You're talking about money, right? You're educating them. You're making them aware. Probably going to be a good opportunity for you to maybe stretch and grow a little bit and learn some things that maybe you didn't know, right? About money or finances. But talk to your kids about how you make money or financial decisions, right? They are not going to learn, and this is a huge epidemic and a huge problem we see in our society today, right? There's this taboo that, well, it's rude to ask people or talk to people about money or ask them how much they make, right? So you're sitting at the dinner table with your kids and it's rude for your kid to ask you how much money you make, right? Oh, we don't talk about that, right? Well, that's led to a huge lack of financial education and lack of financial literacy in our country because people don't want to talk about it, right? Well, that's private. I don't want to, right? Surveys have been done. People would much rather talk about death and politics and religion over money. Should not be that way. So talk to your kids on a regular basis about how you make money decisions, right? And I don't think it matters how young your kids are. It blows my mind how much my 2-year-old and 4-year-old and 6-year-old can comprehend, right? And so when you have the opportunity, talk to them about what you're doing. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to buy this, or we're going to invest in this, and this is what we're thinking, because they need to learn those things, right? Don't be afraid to talk about money with them. This is another thing I wrote an article a while back, right? Don't be afraid to show them your paycheck, right? If you get a paycheck, or even if you're a business owner and you get some form of payment, right? Don't be afraid to show them that paycheck. What I find is that a lot of people don't even know what some of those numbers on their own paycheck are. And so if you can, again, maybe a growing opportunity for you, know what all those deductions and numbers on your paycheck are, and then you can talk to your kids about that. They will get a job one day, at least you hope so, right? Or else they're going to be living with you forever. They're going to get a job. They're going to have a paycheck. They need to know those things. And should be your responsibility to teach them, right? And you can do that by showing them your paycheck. Don't be afraid to show them how much money you make. We want them to be, every parent wants your kids to be better off and more prosperous and better than us, right? So, but we need to start those conversations and show them those things. You can't hide that stuff from them, right? So I would say, show them your paycheck. Don't be afraid to show them your investment accounts either, right? Or what you have in place. Hey, take a few minutes, maybe on when you have some time after work or on an evening, and show them your investment account, right? If you're opening it up, or you on a regular basis look at your accounts, whether it's your bank account, your investment accounts, retirement accounts, bring them in and show them, right? Hey, this is what we have. This is what we're doing. This is why we decided to do this. Or maybe you haven't gotten to the point where you are saving money, right? And so that maybe will force you or motivate you to start doing that, right? Hey, I should be teaching my kid this, but I'm not doing it yet. So let me start doing it. Let me set something up, and then I can share this with my children. Huge emphasis that I put on with my clients, and I think everybody should be part of kind of this change that needs to take place in our society. That we need to talk more about money, right? We should not have the feelings that, well, like, I'm not going to tell anybody what I make because it's private, and I don't want my kids, knowing, or I don't want whoever knowing. To some extent, it is a very personal and private thing. But the financial literacy and financial education in our society is not going to improve from where we're at now if we don't start changing our mindset and the way that we do talk about money, right? People will still end up in the dark, having tons of questions when they get out of college, when they get into the workforce, when they get close to retirement, right? It blows my mind. I meet with people, or I talk to people that are very close to retirement, and they're lacking a lot of the basic information that they absolutely need because nobody talked to them about it, or they didn't want to ask anybody about it because it's private, right? So, we all need to be, and if you're watching this, hopefully what I'm saying is making sense, but we all need to be part of that change and kind of that movement to make a change in our society. If we talk about it like we talk about other things, right? Imagine if we talked about money as often as we talk about sports, right? Imagine how much better off we would be, right? How much more prosperous, how much more educated we would be, right? Or if we devoted that same amount of time to figuring out how our money works and how we're investing to how much time we spend watching TV or other things like that, right? Be totally different. And those are the kind of changes that we need to implement. So again, if you're watching, you have any money questions, financial questions, feel free to submit them now if you have them, or submit them to us sometime during the week, and I'll prepare and just like I did now, and we'll answer your questions next Tuesday. So again, I want to be able to make this a regular occurrence. Hopefully this time works good for everybody. If not, you can watch the replay and then send in your questions. But I want to make this very regular. Again, with that challenge and kind of mentality in mind, that having these conversations is obviously going to improve your financial situation and all of ours, right? The more we can help build community around that and be much more comfortable talking to people about our money, the better off we're going to be, right? So again, any questions that anybody has, if you're tuning in, let me know, and I'll be on for a few more minutes. A couple of the other questions that I've had come up quite a bit. I meet with quite a few people who are close to retirement or like already retired, right? But a lot of those people who are close to retirement, one of the things that I get asked a lot is, well, like maybe I haven't done much preparing for retirement. Is there a point in planning or starting to prepare, right? The answer is always yes. You are much better off the sooner you can start doing any type of planning, right? Sooner you can start getting organized, educating yourself, putting things in place, right? You're going to be much better off later on down the road. But some people feel like it's too late for them to start, and that's kind of opposite thinking that you should have, right? Never too late to start. And so I would always say, no matter what stage you're at, start focusing on creating your plan, right? And start really putting an emphasis on what your future plan is going to look like, right? And again, when I say future planning, that can be shorter term, right? Like, what am I planning for this year? What do I need to have in place this year, right? What are some financial things? Vacation, repairing a home, down payment on something. What are financial things I need to be doing now, and what's the best way to do that? What are things 3 to 5 years from now? And then what are things out close to retirement or in retirement that I should be planning for, right? Being able to kind of separate out how you're asking those questions and then the answers to those questions will much help you a lot to better be able to decide what financial vehicles to be using and what actually to be doing, right? Instead of feeling overwhelmed with what investments are out there or what's available, ask those questions first, right? What's the purpose of the money? What do I need to be doing like this year? What do I need to be doing 3 to 5 years? What kind of planning? And what do I need to be doing closer to retirement or in retirement? Yeah. So any other questions that anybody else has, feel free to submit them. One of the other questions that we got recently, we are doing a webinar, and I'll just come to this real quick. So number one thing that I see kind of people doing that stops them from implementing a good plan, right? A good financial plan is number one, some habits, right? And those could be habits that you formed that prevent you from doing certain things, right? And specifically in this case, like saving money, investing money, learning more about money. And step number one to really creating a good financial plan, right? And where most people get hung up on implementing a good financial plan is not doing step number one, right? Which I believe is just starting the conversation, right? Can't create a good financial plan if you're not starting the conversation. And that conversation should start, right, with your family. And then if you need additional help, take that to other resources, right? Professional advisor, whoever it may be. Obviously somebody who's going to give you good information and helpful information. But step number one, not starting the conversation, or starting the conversation, but not specifically not starting the conversation, is what prevents people from implementing a good plan, right? It's not, well, I need to pick or design a diversified portfolio, and I need to know asset allocation and the strategy. That's not what keeps people from starting to invest, right? It's the number one reason is starting the conversation. And again, that conversation should start with your family, and then be able to utilize other professionals or other resources, right? So any other questions you guys have, please feel free to submit them. Appreciate you tuning in and watching for a little bit. We'll put up the replay, and then next Tuesday, same time, if this works well for everybody, same time, we're gonna go live again for our Q&A and make it regular, right? So maybe you don't have any questions right now, you want to think about it a little bit. Again, challenge that I want to submit to everybody is sometime very soon, right? And if you're anything like me, very soon means like right away, right now, today. If I don't do it today, then I'm not going to do it, right? I'll put it off or I'll forget about it, right? So my challenge is very soon, so today, find something that you can talk to your significant other, a family member, your children, regarding finances, right? Whether that's paying your kids an allowance, right? Or how much money you're saving or investing, or what types of accounts you have, or opening an account if you don't have one, right? I would challenge everybody to start and do that, right? And that's going to be a challenge. It's kind of one of my pushes and desires, challenge for myself even, that I want to be able to emphasize and repeat every week is challenge yourself, and I'm going to challenge you to go and start these financial discussions, right? And don't be afraid to have them, because that taboo-ness or that intimidation of talking about money, or that fear of talking about money, or wanting to keep it private has gotten us to where we're at now, right? Which is a tremendous amount of financial illiteracy in our country, right? So start with yourselves and your family and your home, and tell me how it's going, right? Submit that if you tune in next week, or in the comments below, how the challenge went for you. I want to hear some of your feedback, what was good about it, what was maybe difficult about it, and we can continue that conversation. So again, if you have any questions, you can submit them now, or submit them in the comments. We'll get back to them, and I'll prepare, and we'll get to them next Tuesday. So appreciate everybody, Nick, William, for tuning in, Brandon, Diane, and appreciate you tuning in, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday.